episode 51.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Who Did That Voice, where we take an in-depth look at voiceovers.
It's a new year, and if you're like me, you are already thinking about warmer weather and taking that getaway to that tropical or exotic destination. Maybe you plan to travel to Walt Disney World or Universal Studios. No matter what kind of trip you plan, 3D Travel Company is the company for you. Just visit 3dtravelcompany.com and let them know that Trenton sent you from Who Did That Voice. Or you can book on www.whodidthatvoice.co and click the Book Now button. For a limited time, Who Did That Voice listeners can receive a Disney gift card for qualifying Disney and Universal trips booked and traveled by the end of 2017. Book today and travel away.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today's special guest voiced a character called Monica Decay on Welcome to Monster High.
Who dares trespass my cemetery?
Your cemetery?
Monica Decay, right? Who's asking? Whoa! There's no need to get scratchy. We're just like you.
Wrong.
She's telling the truth. We're monsters. See?
Wanna shake on it?
I don't do handshakes, but I could use a few more monsters in my zombie army. We've already taken this cemetery back from the humans. Next, we'll conquer the entire human world!
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice? Today on the show we have Cristina Milizia joining us today. Cristina, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here. And happy Monday, everyone. And I don't know when you're going to hear this, but hope you're having a good week so far, and I'm excited to chat today.
Well, it is an absolute honor to have you on the show today, Cristina. You know, the very first thing we always like to do is to get kind of a background on our special guest, who they are, you know, from growing up as a little girl to the woman you are today. And how did you get into the voiceover industry, Cristina?
Well, I was 8 years old when I first started. My parents are both musicians and professional vocalists, so I grew up, as soon as I was old enough to, walk, basically, they would just take me to their gigs rather than hire a babysitter, and they would just stick me on stage with a maraca. So, I was used to performing from a young age because it was very much just what my family did. That was how they made their living. So my mother now has a PhD in vocal performance, and my dad has a master's in voice. So they are continuing vocal nerds. I did, so I did learn to sing and all of that, vocal technique growing up. My mother was trying to get into voiceover work and did do voiceover work when for quite some time. But I was basically accompanying her on an audition. And the director came out and said, hey, you were great, but we were looking for a younger voice. And he saw me and asked if I wanted to try. And that was, I auditioned, and that was the first job I was ever cast in. And it turned out to be a very large job for a company called The Learning Company. And, it was like this huge thing, and I had I just didn't know anything about it. So, but yeah, that was for The Learning Company many, many years ago. And, that was the beginning. After that, my mother also did a number of, award-winning, actually, CDs of music for kids, teaching Spanish. So like numbers in Spanish and colors and all kinds of, like Latin culture immersion, and teaching kids, how to speak, just basic stuff. And so, she had this cute little kids chorus of, she would bring 10 kids on to sing on the album. And so, of course, I was thrown in there with everybody else. And I guess for whatever reason, some of the directors or the engineers that had been hired noticed me and asked if I wanted to record an audition for some other projects. And so that was another source of voiceover. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was then, but apparently there was something about my voice or my sound that was useful for for voiceover. So that's how it began.
Absolutely. That's fantastic that you were able to start at such a young age. What an opportunity for you.
It was really cool. It was such a different picture. I mean, the voiceover world was so different then. And the internet, didn't even exist when I was very young. Or maybe it did, but just, not on the scale that it does now. So finding voice talent was a much smaller pool then, and even harder to find kids that, were hams enough to go in there and just be crazy. But the real big reason, the main reason why they would call me in a lot, aside from because I sounded like a chipmunk and it was funny when I was little. You think my voice is high now? It was really high then. I speak Spanish and I sing, and those were just very useful, especially for the toys and education industry. So I did a lot of toys, where you just sing numbers in English and Spanish and a few shapes, and it's a great skill set to be bilingual for the education industry in general for voiceover.
Well, just this past August 2016, an animated movie came out called Monster High. Welcome to Monster High. And what was it like working on this project, Cristina?
Yay! Oh my gosh, such a fun project. This was my first animated feature film, so it was really, really special for me. There's always that buildup of like, oh gosh, like I hope I'm actually in it. Because as an actor, you get cast and recast so many times, and it just happens. It's just part of the industry.
Yeah.
So for this actually to happen was just so exciting, and especially because most of my career has been spent voicing either cute kind of kid voices, so it just, hi, let's play, or this is fun, like that kind of stuff, or even more like kind of boy stuff, than like getting to be a villain for the first time was really special. So I usually play more the princess or the sweet, fun characters. I'm not usually somebody mean. So it was extra special for me for that, because it was a real stretch for me. I had to explore new areas of acting that I haven't before, and getting to represent my culture as well in terms of being Peruvian. Monica Decay, I gave her a northern Peruvian accent because my father is Peruvian. So I thought that would be fun, and they wanted to cast a South American monster. So it was just special in getting to add my own heritage in there, getting to add things acting-wise that I've never done before, and to have that opportunity, and for people to actually enjoy it, and for it to actually come out and be well-received was very exciting.
Most definitely. And it had to be special for you to throw your heritage into that role as well. And, just representing your heritage and your father's background, that had to be super special for you in that show as well.
It was. I had a blast, and they're just and the reason why I even auditioned for that part is because I did a character called Marisol Coxi for Monster High last year, and she is the very first Peruvian monster that they had, and she was a Bigfoot monster, and that was actually how we got in contact, because they wanted someone who was actually Peruvian to voice the Peruvian character. And so, when they had a part come up for a South American monster, then they, had me audition as well. So that's how all that came about. So go Peru! Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that is super fantastic, Cristina. And could you tell us a little bit about your main character that you voiced, Monica Decay?
She's mean, super mean. She's a mean girl. My voice is not terribly low. I can make it lower for some things, but, I still generally I have a very youthful sound to my voice. So, obviously Monster High is about, teenagers, because it's a high school. So, I did get to be the villain because it was a teenage villain. So Monica Decay is, equivalent to, if you will, the high school bitch. But the high school mean girl. Her perspective is, it's a very realistic one in a lot of ways. Monster High is about they're trying to speak to tolerance and diversity, and that everyone, no matter how different you are, is okay. You should be confident and proud of that, no matter, how different you look from everyone else. But the whole story of the movie is that they are trying to strengthen their solidarity as monsters, and then to learn how to someday get along with the humans as well. And Monica's perspective is, you're crazy. The humans are mean. They're horrible. They're horrible to us. We're never going to be able to exist in that world with them. So, better to destroy them than to try to, make peace with them or embrace them because they're mean. And that's just her perspective, because she, maybe she had a really terrible experience in the past, and there are several moments in the movie that allude to that where she says, you've never been out there. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what they are like. So she is speaking her truth. She really believes that, humans, there's no way that there's ever going to be harmony between the two, between monsters and humans. So it was very easy to bring a lot of truth to that because that's what she thinks.
Well, that is fantastic to hear. So it is a show about learning to diversify and unify then. So bringing each other together.
Absolutely. Yeah, Monster High is such a cool brand because the whole thing is about this embracing diversity, embracing our differences, and that is what makes us unique and strong and beautiful. And so it's just such a clear and wonderful message, especially obviously the show is targeted at more tween or younger girls. So, that message of strength and celebrating who you are as a unique individual, I think is a really, really wonderful one. And I'm really proud to be part of it.
Absolutely, Cristina. Thank you so much for diving into your role and kind of the general aspect of the show as well. With voiceover, you've done so many different things and broken into so many different avenues of voiceover. Could you just list a few of the different types of VO works you've done? Since you did say, this was your first animation project overall as a main character, what are some of the other types of VO work that you've done?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel very much like an animation baby. Absolutely. And, yes, this is my first animated feature film. My very first animated series was actually 1 year ago today. I was cast in Disney Junior's Doc McStuffins, and that was my first TV animated series. I was a character called Lala the Koala. So really, my animated series history is so short. I've only been here in LA for 4.5 years chasing my animation dream, but I have been a voice actor for 24 years. So the first 20 years were completely different. I primarily did toys and games, and that was all I did for 15 years. That was all I did. And within the toys and games world, I think I recorded for actually every major toy company that was out there. So, Mattel, Hasbro, Fisher-Price is part of Mattel, Jakks Pacific, Play Along Toys, did a bunch of Super Y stuff for out of the blue, just so many. Toys R Us, it just went on and on. It was like every toy company. And it was just by virtue of being there for so long. I was just there for so many years. And there's a lot of toys, there's that come out all the time. So it was really fun. And so that was all growing up until I was in my early 20s. And I even worked full time for a while as a casting director and actually salaried voice actor, which was like amazing. It was like amazing. That was such a cool opportunity. I had for a company called Creativity, and they did all audio, sound effects, music, and gameplay and art for toys. So toy companies would hire them to create a lot of the content for their toys. And so I worked for them doing their casting and talent coordinating, but I was paid a flat rate per week to record as much as I possibly could, basically. So I got to record for things that I would have never had a chance to record for because, they wanted me to go in there for everything. Because if I booked a lot, then, they'd make more money. But it was such a gift to me because I got to try stuff that was just totally, I would have never seen in an audition. So that really expanded, my range and had me try new things, which is really what brought me the awareness of, oh gosh, there's this whole other world beyond toys. But, the first, that whole first 15 years was just, let's play. I love you. It's all this stuff, That was all I did. And then occasionally like a boy voice. That was literally it. But once I got to Creativity, I started expanding more into the mommy roles, like, can you find the blue that kind of thing. So so that really expanded my mind and my range. I got my first agent in San Francisco, Stars the agency, and then they started sending me out on commercial work, and I had no idea what I was doing. And my booking rate on commercial was so low because like toy stuff, everything is like woo la la, everything is like really upbeat, which is like the complete opposite of commercial work. And I had no idea what I was doing. But I auditioned, and every occasion, occasionally I would book a commercial, and it would always be like some teen girl part in a commercial. It'd be like, okay, Dad, like yeah, like that was about it. That was all I could book. But so that was really the first 15 years. After a certain point, I was like, you know what, I really want to do animation. I've kind of beaten toys to death at this point. Like I've done, I can't think of, like, there's no more, and it was incredible. Mattel actually found me through an invention company. They heard my voice on something, and they found me through the invention company and contacted my agent, and they wanted to make me their new voice for their Little Mommy series, which is a series of baby dolls. And they flew me down to LA to record 5 dolls, and it was like literally more money than I'd ever seen in my life. And I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I mean, it wasn't like more money I'd ever seen in my life, but like, well, also perspective. I grew up really poor, a starving musician. So, it was an incredible gift to actually be paid, so much more than the usual toy rate. Toy rates are very low, just for people who know. I mean, it's usually, maybe $300, $400 for a toy. That's like a nice rate. So it's not easy to make a living on toys and games. But Mattel is definitely one of the nicer companies to work for. So having the opportunity to work for them, that gave me a little bit more of a cushion to really make the investment and the jump. I was like, okay, I'm just going to take these few $1,000s and I'm going to move to LA and let's give this a shot. And that's when I started studying animation and studying and trying to book commercial work much more heavily. And so then that's been my focus for the past 4.5 years, has been commercial and animation.
Absolutely, Cristina. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. The next thing I really want to know is, how did you end up getting an audition for the popular multiplayer online game League of Legends?
That's a really good question. That was through my agent at Stars the Agency in San Francisco. The original company, I don't know how that came to them, but for whatever reason, the original casting was all done in the Bay Area. And so the whole initial core group of talent that were cast in that game, we're all friends, and we're all from the Bay Area. So I don't know how that happened exactly. I think it was through a company called I can't remember. It was so long ago, but basically it came through my agent. Obviously the whole like, oh, let's play a game voice. It was an 8-year-old girl part who liked to set things on fire, but was really cute and happy about it. So I just got to say, oh, everything's burning, yay, So it was just such a fun part. But yeah, that's how that came to me. And Annie, which she was the very first character. There were 2 characters that originally came out for League of Legends, and they were Rise and Annie. Those were the very first 2, and so I'm very honored to be at the beginning with League. I mean, that was such a cool, and the fact that I didn't know anything about it until I met my husband. That was the best part, was that I moved to LA to become this like, oh, I want to be the next great animation actor. I want to be wonderful. Like you have all these dreams and aspirations. And when I got here, I went on a date, my very first date with my husband, and he worked for a company called Riot Games. And he was like, wouldn't it be funny if you voice some characters for, my company? I was like, that would be funny. And when we were on our first date, I laughed, and he recognized my laugh. And he said, whoa, he said, I think you might be one of the characters. And so we looked it up on my resume, because I have everything written down. And I was like, yeah, I'm some character called Annie and a Moo and Nunu. And he totally wigged out. It was awesome. He was like, oh my God. You have fans all over the world. And I was like, whatever. I thought he was blowing smoke up my,
Yeah.
And I totally thought he was just trying to butter me up on a first date. I really thought he was just trying to, I thought it was some remote, tiny little obscure group of gamers, that just, maybe a little group or something. But I didn't think it was nearly as big as it was. And so that was the first time I ever heard of League of Legends. Otherwise, it was one job that I did in a series of jobs, and that you never know if they become anything. You have no idea. So that was so cool. It was so humbling in a lot of ways to get to LA. I made this big jump. I was like, oh, I want to achieve all these things. And then to realize once you were already there that you had actually already achieved something amazing, but you just didn't even know about it.
That has to be fascinating.
It's just like, it's cool just in terms of the universe. Like if you think about it, it's like our actions touch so many people and so many things, and we don't even know what they are so often. And you could be changing somebody's life out there with just one gesture of kindness. One nice thing that you've done for someone that could like really hit home for them. And so it just was such a humbling experience to realize, okay, you know what? I have a lot to offer. I've already done something awesome. It's just about that right circumstance. And so I think it gave me a lot more confidence as an actor to realize, okay, yeah, a lot of projects don't go anywhere, but every once in a great while, something will click and it'll just be right for that moment, for that project, for that time. And it could be and you get to be part of something amazing for that one thing, and that it could happen at any moment in time, and you might not even know. So it's just, I think I took away from that now I just try to do my best always in everything I do, and be humble and give as much as I can, but still to be confident and know that what I'm offering and what I can do when I give that 1000% is going to be good. And I'm going to, give everything to that project that I possibly can. And hopefully it will do something great for someone else somewhere along the line.
Yeah, absolutely, Cristina. Well, I mean, League of Legends is something that a lot of my gamer friends talk about. I don't usually play the online stuff as much on computers. I'm more of a console person, but it has a huge following, and that's fantastic. I know you probably were blown out of the water when you found out the following it had.
It was crazy. And the first time we went to the World Finals, and seeing your character just up there, like I think I was banned 3 times in the World Finals for because they ban characters that they don't want a team member to play because it'll be so like just seeing your big the picture up there. And then I think this year in the World Finals they actually played my laugh during the opening ceremonies, and it's just, and the fans are amazing, and people feel so connected to them, which is so cool. And it's just, again, I'm just excited to be part of this great thing in history. I mean, because esports existed before, but League of Legends really took it to this whole new level. And I mean, when you watch a game now for League of Legends, when you watch the finals, I mean, it is so pro. I mean, it is a real sport. It is a real, with statistics and like it's incredible, and it's entertaining to watch, even if you don't understand the action. Because I watch these games, I have no idea what's going on, but I can generally follow. You get excited, you get really into it, and it's just it's pretty mind blowing. So.
Most definitely. I totally agree. Games definitely get your blood pumping.
Did you watch this past year?
I didn't. I did not. No.
Oh, it was a good game.
I bet it was.
It was a good game. Oh my gosh. Anyway, if you get a chance, check it out.
Check it out. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
It was a nail biter for sure.
Definitely. Well, Cristina, you, I believe, are the owner and founder and creative director of the Global Voice Acting Academy. Is that correct?
I am. That's my baby.
So, Cristina, what led you down that path to create the Global Voice Acting Academy?
That's a very interesting question. There was a number of factors, and I think so often this is mother of invention the necessity is the mother of invention. So many times when we see a lack of something in the world, or we're frustrated with the lack of something existing, then people tend to create that, what they see is missing.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that quote from Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world. I had been a voiceover coach since my early 20s, thanks to the wonderful Elaine Clark at Voice One. She brought me on to teach toys and games from a casting director's perspective, starting when I was very young. So it was just, such a wonderful opportunity. She gave me a chance to teach for the first time and to lecture. And teaching and I just really got along. I love teaching. I love teaching. It lights me up. And I think I've always been a very I'm not much of a showy kind of person. I'd rather be in a booth like by myself in the dark rather than like on stage. Maybe it's just because I was put on stage so much as a kid that I tend to shy away from it. I don't like to. I hate that feeling of it's about me. Look at me. Like I hate that, and that's difficult because as an artist, as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to market yourself, and so I always really struggled with that because it always felt kind of self-absorbed to me, and and I know that's just my own, having grown up with like the extreme opposite of that, where it's all glittery dresses and it's all performance, and so I think it was just my reaction to that. When I found teaching, I found I was like, oh my gosh, this is my motivation, because I love to do voiceover, but I don't feel, if it's in a void, it's not very exciting to me. Voiceover and art and growing and progressing is exciting to me when I get to share it with other people. That's what really motivates me. And so when I teach, I love learning new things so that I can teach, so that I can share it with someone else, because my journey was so meandering. If I can shorten that time for someone else, if I can help them be more efficient or find their direction, or provide them with a mentor that can help guide them to where they want to go faster and for less money and without a big runaround and having to dodge people that are just out for your money, I love doing that. It just lights me on fire. It makes me so happy. And so, I mean, the straw that broke the camel's back is that I was teaching a lot, and I was getting more and more students that would come to me and saying, hey, I don't know why I'm not booking. I did this whole voiceover course, and I just don't know why. Would you listen to my stuff? And I was getting all these students who were completely unprepared. Their demos were a mess. They'd have beautifully produced demos and a website, but they weren't well trained. They weren't well prepared at all. And so these people, and I mean, different companies, different coaches out there, and there are many good ones. So don't, this is not a blanket statement at all. There are some amazing ones. But since there's no, universal system of voiceover education, it's not in the universities yet. It's kind of a big free-for-all. You have to do a lot of research to see, okay, what's a quality source of voiceover education out there if I really want to study and make this happen. And so there are a lot of companies out there who unfortunately are not doing this in an honorable way. They're just taking people's money and they're saying, oh, you can be a voice actor in a weekend. Here you go, and we'll record your demo. You'll have your mic and get out there and you'll be all set and you're going to make tons of money. And that's not how it works at all. And that really just infuriated me. And one gentleman came to me and didn't know why he wasn't booking. I looked at, again, his beautifully produced website and demos, and all of his marketing materials were lovely. And I said, well, it's probably because you have a speech impediment. And I think that's probably limiting your opportunities. And it was dead silence. And he said, I have a speech impediment? I was like, nobody told you? I said, who recorded these demos for you? They didn't say anything? And he said, well, they mentioned that there was something in my speech, but that it was endearing. And they went ahead and did it. And he had spent like $5,000.
Holy cow. And
I was so angry about this. I was just fuming for days. And I was like, you know what, if no one's going to do it, I'm going to do it. And so I called up a bunch of my friends who were all coaches that I had met through Elaine at Voice One, including Elaine, and I said, there needs to be some sort of resource so that people know who are the quality coaches. And, again, it doesn't have to be comprehensive, but these are quality coaches. These are people who are not going to lie to you or take your money. These are the people who are actually going to train you and that are going to care about you and support you. I want that to exist out in the world, and it needs to have fantastic SEO so that people can find it online, because everything's online now.
Yeah.
And again, there's all these fantastic coaches out there, but some of them, they don't necessarily have their website and all their SEO, beautifully done, and so they're not getting the students that they should, compared to people who are maybe really marketing and business savvy, but they don't necessarily have the voiceover skills, but they have that whole marketing side covered. So that's why I set out on this mission. I wanted there to be a resource that was online, only online, for online voiceover coaching, that was reliable, a place that had integrity, that, would not just make demos because we wanted, because we want the money, that would turn down people and say, no, you're not ready. I wanted the real deal, and that it wasn't about the money. This is about doing what's right and really training people who are really willing to work hard, who want to put that time in and want real information. They don't want to be lied to. They want to know, honestly, can I do this? If so, what is it going to take? How long is it going to take? Where should I focus my efforts? Those are the people that we want to help. And now, in an age where voice actors are spread out all over the world, and you can record in your own little booth in a corner of the world away from everybody, you're in a void. You have no connection to other actors or to coaches. And there's many of our students are in Canada or Europe or New Zealand, Australia. They're all over, and it's because they're in these tiny pockets. They don't have access to those great coaches or those coaching opportunities. Whereas if you were in LA or New York, you would have more places to go and workshops that you could go to in person. So those are the people we wanted to reach. We wanted to provide that online access to high quality voiceover coaching that people could trust, that that people could really focus in and find direction and support, and all within a caring community of talent that communicate and support each other, and a collaborative team. The whole team, we all talk to each other about our students so that we can support them better. And so they're never starting over with one coach either. There's that communication between the coaches. So it's a really supportive structure. So obviously you can tell this is my baby because I'm just going off about it. But I get really excited about it.
Yeah.
I think it's very forward. This is about the future.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Online is the future. Being in person is amazing, and nothing will ever replace that. It just won't. But at a time when we can't all be in the same place, or what if you have a disability? Like I had a spinal injury. Like there were times when I couldn't get out to see, what if you have something, or you're a busy mom and the only time you can do is night school, online. Those are the people that we want to help, because there's so many talented voice actors out there who have it in them to work hard, and they're willing to do what it takes, but they don't have a way to access it. And those are the people we want to help.
Absolutely, Cristina. Well, it's definitely obvious that this is a passion of yours, the way you talk about it, and
I'm sorry. I get all riled up. So.
Hey, it's wonderful, and that's how I get about my show, because it's something I'm passionate about. When people talk about something they love, it's evident in the way that they talk about it. And the very first time I'd ever heard about the Global Voice Acting Academy was on my very first episode with my very first special guest, Katie Lee. Yeah. And she had mentioned it. And at that point, it was just a new concept. I had just heard a name that I wasn't familiar with. And then I started looking into it, and then researching information for our interview. I was like, holy cow, Cristina is the creator, founder, owner. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I was like, wow, not only is she a voice actress, but she's the owner of this company that's just, I think, a fantastic idea, because you're bringing resources and people together that, like you said, just aren't necessarily even in the vicinity to be with these coaches. But because of the internet, it's helping people reach out to people that have the skills, and, the amount of money that you're paying for those skills is worth it, because they're people that are not just there to take your money, but they're there to educate you and teach you and inform you and teach you about the business appropriately, and not just take your money and say, here we go, and thanks for coming in, so.
Exactly. That really is a place where we're really starting to shine, which is cool, because there are some good voiceover schools out there, and all of them have their strengths, and some of them have some terrific coaches. They really do. But the truth is, this is not just an art. It's not just a craft. It is a business. And the people who are successful, it's not like you're just, you have one training course and you're done. You have to learn how to do negotiations and marketing and business, and you have to have a website, and you have to learn how to, it's a whole thing. I mean, you have to learn how to be an entrepreneur, and you have to learn how to be a self-employed go-getter. And that is a whole skill set in and of itself. And when people are made aware of, okay, and maybe you're not, but that again would direct how we work with somebody. So someone like that would really benefit from, okay, you're going to need talent agents, someone who's going to go in there and negotiate for you. But it just really depends on the person. Some people are much better with those, the other aspects of the career that are important in terms of, the daily life and the business side of things. But, there's just voiceover education is more complex than a lot of places present. And that's our goal as we continue to improve and grow our curriculum. We are expanding into all of those areas so that it is a fully comprehensive approach, and people have every information or class they could possibly need so that they can grow and succeed as voice actors in any stage of their career. So
Absolutely, Cristina. Thank you so much for sharing that about the Global Voice Acting Academy. Where can people reach out to find more information about the Global Voice Acting Academy?
Well, you can find us on online. The website is globalvoiceacademy.com. I didn't do Global Voice Acting Academy because it was really long. So
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's just globalvoiceacademy.com. That's our website. We have a wonderful rate guide as well for voice actors that's free. That we do that. We do that free of charge for the community. So do check that out. We have amazing free resources. We also have a YouTube channel where we post lectures for the community. Again, completely free of charge, on career strategy, on character work, on demos. We have a whole series donated by a community member actually on Twisted Wave. So check out the YouTube channel. There's just tons and tons of information on there that, again, is all free for the community. And last but not least, we have a wonderful Facebook group called the GVAA community, where we have an online forum where people can post questions, share successes, and receive the support of our coaches, our home studio consultants, and of each other. So any of those places, come check us out. We'd love to have you be part of our family.
Absolutely, Cristina. Thank you so much. And, speaking of websites, do you have a personal one, or is there social media where people can reach out to you, whether they are inquiring about your services or, they just have a question about voiceover or?
Totally. Actually, I mean, if you have a question that's voiceover related in terms of I want feedback on a demo, or I have questions about, what do I do next in my career, please do contact, through the GVAA site, because we have a whole team set up to receive those kind of messages and then to get them immediately meeting with David Rosenthal, who's our CEO and a veteran talent of 30 years. He's incredible. And we send out an email immediately with all the links to, the website, to all of our free resources that I just mentioned. And then it also sets you up with a complimentary 20-minute consultation with David so that you can talk one-on-one with somebody about your personal needs. Again, all completely free of charge. And then we also have our career consultant, Faith, reach out to support you as well if it's something, if we have any recommendations or anything we can help with. But obviously if there's something that people are interested in that's just actual voiceover, my voiceover related, not like career or voiceover path related, then they can find me on CristinaMilizia.com or CristinaMilizia.com. Both pronunciations are fine.
Well, Cristina, I have just one final question for you today. And that question is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
That's a really good question. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
That's a dual one for me.
Okay.
I would have to say. I think that, oh man, that's a really tough question. That is really tough. Me as a voice actor, my own voice actor, my goal is to be, one of the greatest female animation actors of all time. That's my, my big goal, along with the amazing ladies, June Foray, Debbie Derryberry, Tress MacNeille, Katie Lee herself, these Greg Griffin, Kari Walgren, these are my heroes. And if I can get anywhere near to what they've achieved and those kind of skill sets, I will be just so happy, because those are my heroes. In terms of education, my goal is to have the GVAA eventually integrate and to become part of the universities. I would love to be the first person who started something that actually got universities officially integrating voiceover into their, as an actual either major or a minor. I would love that to be my legacy for education in voiceover.
Well, I think that would be most fantastic, especially if it became a curriculum-based material that could be put into universities and schools.
That's the goal.
Maybe even a preliminary training course that was in high school, maybe, where it kind of preps them for the college level so that they're that much more prepared to really take on the meat of what voiceover is and to really soak it all in when they finally get to college.
It should be a degree, and I've felt that way for a long time. David and I, the CEO, have mutually agreed that, that is a long-term goal. We want to get voiceover into the universities. And if, again, if that can be our legacy together and for as the people who started and really got the GVAA going, that would be incredible. So if I can be a part of making that happen, I think it would just be a tremendous help to everyone who truly loves this amazing art form.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to get a degree to be in acting, so why not one for specifically voiceover? I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great idea.
Well, then you could study like phonetics and vocal technique and sound design, and you could study all the different genres and like the phonetic alphabet, and so you could like tackle any accent you wanted. It would be an amazing curriculum. Like it should be done.
And learn the history of voiceover, starting with Walt Disney, who was the very first animation voiceover of all times, and go from there.
See, there you go. It's just, I have so many goals, too much to do. But anyway, that'll be my life project for sure. So hopefully by the time I'm 70, I'll retire. I'll look back on all of this, and that'll be the goal. So.
Well, Cristina, thank you so very much for being on the show today. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you. Would you please just give us a closeout today as Annie from the League of Legends?
Absolutely. Hi, this is Cristina Milizia on Who Did That Voice, and
you smell like burning. You want to play too? It'll be fun. Eeny, meeny, miny, burn! Bye!
I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Cristina Milizia. And if you did, please stop on by my Facebook or Twitter pages by searching Who Did That Voice. I would love to hear from you. You know, a question you might ask yourself is, where can I listen to Who Did That Voice? That's an excellent question. You can hear us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and our website at www.whodidthatvoice.co. Click the Episodes tab and listen away. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us this Friday for our next special guest, John Stalker, the voice of Beastly from Care Bears, Toad from the Super Mario Brothers, and Ultron from Avengers United They Stand. You won't want to miss this episode. Hey, do you ask yourself who did that voice? Well, if you do, go to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click on the Episodes tab. Choose an actor, pick their name, and see pictures from the different characters they've voiced in their career.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.